Hey, in the last two videos, we have been building upon a simple CloudFormation template. We created a simple EC2 instance, and we used the findIntMap function, as you see on the screen there. But in this video, we're going to focus on adding parameters. We're going to be adding two parameters. The first parameter will allow the user to specify an instance size for our virtual machine. And right now, since we did not specify one, the default is an m1.small. The second parameter that we're going to add will give the user the ability to name the instance that we're going to be creating. We're going to add a tag. And by making these two changes and adding these two parameters, it makes our template more dynamic and more reusable. All right, so let's get started. So one of the first things we want to do is we want to know where to specify this instance size. So let's go to our documentation. Okay. So I already have it open here. Okay, so let's look at the YAML code, and we're looking for the instance type. Okay, so we see that the instance type value goes under the properties. So we'll go ahead and do that. Under properties. Okay. Now, what values do we want to provide? Let's go back to the documentation here. Okay, these are the values that are allowed. The A1.toLarge all the way up to down the list. And we want to keep it simple, and we're just going to allow the small instances. So for example, we'll do a T1 small, a T2 small, and a 3T small. So let's see, T1 small. So we'll do a T2 small, a 3T small. 2 small and a 3T small. Okay. So let's scroll down here a little bit more, and let's see if we can see an example. Instance type. Okay. Okay. So we can hard code our value here, and we can say let's do a T2 small. But the purpose of using a parameter was that so we don't have to hard code this value. So what we do is we want to say get the instance type from the parameter that is being passed. So we're going to use our built-in function. So we want to get the value of this parameter here that doesn't exist. So we're going to create it. Parameter, actually we're going to call it instance type parameter. Okay. So now we've set the reference. Now we have to go ahead and create the parameter. Okay. A parameter the way you specify a parameter is you add another section just like you did with resources and mappings. And you do that down here, parameters. So let's go back to the documentation. Okay. And it looks like we have an example here. So let's go ahead and copy this example. Parameters. Okay. And make sure we have the same here, the same name. Okay. So we can specify a default value if we don't want the n1.small. We can say we want the T2 micro to be our default value. And the allowed values that I copied over from this example, we're not going to use those. We're going to use the T2 small. And I believe I said the T3 small. Let's go back here. T2 small. And the T3 small. T3 small. Okay. Yeah. We also want to allow the T2 micro since it will be our default value. Okay, so our description that's going to be presented to the user will be placed here. So this is what the user will see. Enter T2 micro, T2 small, and or T3 small. All right, and our instance parameter set, so we can go ahead and test this out. Okay, let's log back into our account. And we're in the Northeast Virginia, the Virginia region. Let's click on Create Stack. We'll upload our template. And then we'll call it new parameter stack. And as you can see down here, the user has an option to add a parameter. And you see that we named our instance type parameter just the way you see it here. And the description that you see here is the exact description that we enter down here. And if you click down to the drop down, you see that we only have 3 options. Let's go ahead and click on the last option, 3T small. Let's click on Create Stack. Okay, excellent. Okay, it's done. Let's click on Resources. Okay, and it gives us a link here to the resource that I created, the EC2 instance. And if we click on it, sure enough, the instance it created is a T3 small, just like what we selected. So you see, as we added this parameter, we can make this more dynamic. All right, let's go ahead and add one more parameter to finish up this video here. And this parameter that we're going to add will give the user the ability to add a tag. So let's go back here to our documentation. And the tags go underneath the properties as well. Let's go to tags. And let's go ahead and click on tags here. Okay. All right, looks like I have, here we go. So it's expecting a key value pair. So let's add that. And we will I'm going to give it a name here. We're going to say name. And we want this, we don't want to hard code this value. We can call this Cloud Examiner EC2. That's the name of our tag. But instead of hard coding our tag, we want to get the value of the parameter. So we're going to call this instance tag parameter. All right. And since we already have a parameter down here, we can just go ahead and copy that, paste that in there, and make sure it's got the same name. And we're going to give this a default value of, we're going to say Cloud Examiner EC2. Okay? And we'll take allowed values off, and we'll say enter a tag name. Okay? Simple as that. So let's go back to our CloudFormation dashboard. Okay. And we'll go ahead and create another stack here. So now, as you see, not only do we have our instance type parameter, but we also see that we have the instance tag parameter, and it says enter a tag name, and we specified our default value. So as you can see, as we're adding parameters and we can add more, this is making our template more dynamic, and we're able to reuse this from region to region. So anyhow, that's all from this course with what we learned about parameters, and we'll go ahead and try to look into a little bit more details on the event section of the CloudFormation dashboard.